All right, yeah. Looks like we're about to be underway here. So, Mega Man X5, it's a little bit different from X4 that you just saw in how it's structured. You still have access to both X and Zero, but you can switch between them basically before any stage that you want. So, picking one in the intro stage doesn't lock you in for the whole game. But we're going to be going with Zero most of the time because he's going to be faster for almost every stage until near the end. As far as the movement in this game goes, it's essentially the same as it is in X4. Dashing along the ground has like a 7-frame wind-up before you reach full speed. So we want to be canceling the dash with a jump, which will hit us at max speed as quickly as possible. Alright, so we're coming up on our boss already here of the intro stage. It's actually pretty short here. So the thing we're going to be seeing with Zero is how efficient he is in combat, and this is the main reason we're going to be choosing him over X. His main form of attack is a 3-hit combo with his saber that you can do by just tapping, but this obviously triggers the boss's invulnerability. But only the third hit does. The first two do not. So what you're going to be seeing Luis doing here is what's called saber dash canceling, where he'll cancel the saber animation in either the first or the second hit by dashing, and then immediately cancel the dash animation with another saber. So it's kind of a rhythm, a repeating saber and then dash. You don't want to mash it because the saber actually does have to come out and deal damage before you can. But it's sort of more of a rhythm that you want to get into. All right, so the start of this game, there's a lot going on. So this is going to be kind of a whirlwind explanation as we go here. There's a lot of new mechanics and a lot of complicated stuff happening, especially in the first two stages. So we've got our 8 Mavericks to choose from here, and we're going to be going to burn Dino Rex first. This is kind of not what the game wants you to do due to story reasons, but it lets you do it, so we're going to do it anyway. So the main reason we're going to be going here first is because of the level system for bosses in this game. Bosses start at level 3 and they will get stronger throughout the game as time goes on. And we want that, actually. It's kind of counterintuitive to what you'd expect because bosses can also drop items that will allow you to upgrade your characters, but only if they are above a certain level. They have to be at least level 8 to drop a part. So we want to get the boss levels up from 3 to 8 as quickly as possible. And the quickest way to do this is to get a good rank on a stage. You are graded in this game based on your performance, among other things. So we want to be picking a stage where you can actually get a pretty good rank immediately. And Burn Dino Rex happens to be a very good stage to get your rank up. Rank is based on things like how quickly it takes you to clear the stage, how many enemies you kill, how much damage you take, things like that. Alright, so Luis did a little minor cycle skip there. He sort of jumped and locked the camera on the first breakable wall and then immediately jumped back before the lava gets there. That saves about 8 seconds. And it's pretty important in getting the rank that we want in this stage. It's not required, but it does make the rank pretty free if you can nail it every time. All right, so in the second half here, there's a sort of a dual split path option. We can go up, or we can go down into the lava with the ride armor. It's way, way, way faster to go down. If you go up, you have to fight like a little dragon mid-boss, and it takes forever. Definitely don't want to do that. The only thing to watch out for on the down path is that taking damage in the ride armor does count against your rank, which is obviously bad, but Luis knows where all these guys are. He's going to be fine. 6th stage. That was really good. All right, so Dino Rex himself, there's no randomness in this fight. His movement is based on your movement and his health thresholds. So if you do the same thing every time and SDC him quickly, he'll do the same thing every time. Yeah, really good stage there. I think the lowest you can get and still get the GA rank that we want is like a 155, and Louise probably just got like a 140 or something. 139, that's so good. Okay, so you might have seen the Dino Rex with the number under his health bar was level 3. Since we've cleared 2 stages, the intro and then this one, the bosses get 2 levels, and then the GA rank will also add 4. So the next boss we fight is going to be level 9, which is good enough for a part. So that means we're going to go to Grizzly Slash next, because he has the Hyper Dash part, which is going to let us go fast, which is obviously a good thing. The stage is really sweet. This is one of my favorite stages in the game. It's kind of similar to Slash Beast in X4, where there's like a massive truck convoy that's transporting weapons, and you need to platform across it to reach the warehouse where the boss is. We do have to destroy these trucks, hit them in their weak point, which is the blue laser core. Thankfully, Dino Rex's weapon, the Quick Blazer, the down stab, is super good for this. It pretty much just one-shots all the trucks from above. So I'm going to grab the sub-tank there. This is an any percent run, technically. Like, it's all stages, but it's of the any percent variant. So we don't need any items to beat this game. Louise is just going to grab the sub-tank there for a little bit of safety, and because it doesn't lose really any time. Okay, so coming up on Grizzly here. This boss is also not random. He's more based on his health, like how much health he has, that will influence what he does. So you're going to see Louise kind of slow down on the DPS here a little bit and let him jump, and then push him through once he jumps to prevent... Oh, fortunately dashed into him there. That's the attack we want to prevent when he goes off the screen and wastes all the time. If you push him from about above 2/3 to slightly below 1/3 in a good damage cycle, he won't do that attack. It's okay, though. Only waste a couple seconds. Not a big deal. Okay, so you saw him actually menu there. You do get an option between extra life and extra energy once bosses are a certain level, and that influences which parts you get. So Louise picked the energy, which is going to give him the hyper dash. If he had picked life instead, that would give him the shock buffer, which is basically just cancels the knockback you get. It's pretty useless. Okay, so after 2 mavs are down, Dynamo, this guy, is going to challenge us. He's here for lore reasons. You won't be seeing him too much because he's going to go down pretty quick to the power of Zero's Saber. He's got great music, though. Okay, that's the slightly less good pattern, but it's only a matter of like 2 seconds. Okay, so here comes the nonsense, okay? So this game has, if you're familiar with it casually, it has a mechanic where there's a ticking clock element. There's this orbiting colony that has a bunch of bad stuff inside it that Sigma's trying to crash into the Earth, and the Maverick Hunters are trying to destroy it, obviously, before it does that. And so what they do is they're gathering parts to upgrade either a cannon or a shuttle to respectively shoot it and crash into it to break it up. And that is an RNG element. Even with all the parts, the cannon and the shuttle do not always work. So this was a big hurdle for us for a very long time. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be manipulating the cannon to work, even though we only have 2 of the parts, using the demo of the game. Because the way the demo is set up, right, it sort of needs to have static RNG to it, so it doesn't like get a drop and desync or something like. So what we do is we watch parts of the demo in order to set the RNG at a certain point and force the cannon to work. Because if the cannon and the shuttle both do not work, you lose access to Zero as a playable character for the rest of the game, which sucks. Like, that is basically run. So by watching the entire demo there, Luis is going to go back into the game now and shoot the cannon, and it's guaranteed to work. Yes, it does. Smelly. There are slightly faster manipulations you can do by canceling the demo at a certain point, but it obviously does influence the fact that you do have to cancel it on the right frame. And since we time this game by in-game time, it doesn't particularly matter which one you use. All right, sweet. So that nonsense is out of the way now. We don't have to worry about it, which is good. Okay, so we do have access to the final stages now, but we obviously have to clear the rest of the Mavericks out first. Okay, so we're going to Duff McWhalen or Tidal Whale, depending on which names you prefer next. So the reason for this is that we did pick up the Hyperdash part from Grizzly, but the problem is it needs some time to develop. You don't get it right away. You need to waste 2 hours on the in-game clock, which essentially amounts to completing 2 stages. So we're going to pick this one next, because this stage is a massive auto-scroller and does not benefit from having the quicker movement at all. Fortunately, Duff McWhalen counts, and actually so does the Dynamo fight that Luis did. So we will have access to Hyperdash immediately after this stage. Okay, so this stage is pretty long, and there's not a whole lot of speed tech to it, so if you want to plug anything, Sage, this is a good time.
Well, no new donations, but thank you for tuning in. This is Bring 'em Over 3, a speedrun marathon to bring Beko and Ohan, Japanese speedrunners, and German speedrunner Prissy to America for EGDQ 2020. Your donations greatly help them make the travel across the seas to come to America. Coming up, so we just had a big donation in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We just had one. Madu1311 donated $10. Sorry I couldn't help with the marathon this time. Hope you guys get all the money for another great relay in GDQ 2020. Put the incentive towards Don in TMNT4. Love you all.
Ooh, thanks, Madu.
That puts Donatello further in the lead at $144.99, while Raphael is at $105. And Leonardo and Michelangelo are at 0. If you like underdogs, you better get moving.
Alright, so there's our first mid-boss. The only thing of note there is you saw Luis turn around and fight him from behind. The first frame of Zero's animation does hit right above him. So, like, by turning around, you can kind of hit straight above and be able to SDC a little bit faster. If you try to do that from the front, you do have to have room to actually do the dash. So you wouldn't be able to go anywhere because you're facing the wall. Yeah, and to mention, if you do recognize this theme, yeah, it's from X2. This was supposed to be the last game in the X series, so it's kind of chock full of references to the previous games. Like you have the X1 fish in the stage and then the X2 song. They're sort of all over the place in this game. Not just X games too, but classic games have callbacks here. We'll see some later. Alright, so this mid-boss is interesting here, the second one. This is the only mid-boss in the game that actually takes more damage from the second hit of Zero's combo than the first. So you'll see Luiz actually canceling the second hit instead of the first, which requires... Usually people do that with a slightly different input. They use the double tap dash method. But it does save time to actually do that there and only there. It's kind of interesting. And yeah, Creed's right. This stage does have a different theme in the beta, and I think one that's better, honestly. But it was cut for various reasons. There's some rumors that it was too creepy for people or something. I don't know what the actual reason is, but for whatever reason, they cut it and replaced it with a Bubble Crab remix. Alright, so this is our last auto-scroller here. We're going up to the top to fight the ship. Alright, so almost at the top here, you'll see the boss door coming on screen here in a sec. This mid-boss doesn't really have too much to it. The only thing of note here is that it does have a shield on it. That little blue gem in the background is like the power source for the shield, so you have to break that first before you can damage the boss. Then we're into Duff McWhalen here. So this boss is interesting because we actually do have his weakness. It's the spinny slash that Luiz got from Grizzly Slash, Pizza Cutter, whatever you want to. But we don't want to use it, at least not too much, because he gets a lot of invulnerability from it. And honestly, the Quake Blazer, which is the down stab, does basically the same amount of damage. So we're going to be using that instead. Luiz hits him with a Pizza Cutter at the top, right before he goes into his second phase, because he has to come all the way down before he starts dashing at you, and you can basically just finish him off before he does anything crazy. Yeah, very nice fight. Went really well. Alright, so we pick energy here. That's going to give us an energy saver item. It's not like that useful compared to some of the other items, but it's worth having, I think. It saves time. Alright, so equip the Hyper Dash there, and then we're going into Spike Rose Red, or Axel the Red. Alright, so this is my favorite stage in the game. This stage owns. It's pretty short, honestly. But I'm not sure if that's a matter of the stage itself is very short or if we're just going at breakneck speed now that we have Hyper Dash. It might be both, honestly. But you can definitely see the movement speed increase here. Ah, oh, impossible jump. Oh no! Alright, that's fine though. This game's really generous with checkpoints, so it's not a big deal. There we go, alright. Alright, and something else worth mentioning, you saw Luiz do like a crazy air dash there at the top. That's actually Duff McWhalen's weapon, and it's really, really good. It's probably the best weapon technique in this game. Because it makes you invincible while you're using it. and it also is slightly faster than the normal dash if you're a TAS. So if you watch the TAS of this game, they just spam those, chain them together. But it's good for like moving through enemies that you don't want to destroy. All right, so this boss does have a little bit of randomness to him. Just what he decides to do. Good pattern there, though. Pretty nice. All right, so the reason we came here fourth is for the item that we're going to get here. We're going to get Master Saber, which is the saber upgrade of the game. It just makes your saber deal extra damage. It's obviously a good thing. Definitely want that. Okay, so at this point, we've got pretty much all the items we need. The rest of the route is basically just, you need this weapon for this boss, this weapon for this stage, etc. So we're going to be going to Dark Necrobat. This stage is pretty cool, I think, aesthetically. Looks nice. It does have some lag here. Some lag. A lot of lag. Whenever the background is changing, the game slows down pretty extensively. Okay, and here there's a bit of an auto-scroller. We kind of have to wait for this platform. We can skip almost all of this auto-scroller, but not quite the end. So we do have to wait for the platform here. I don't think it's an actual effect, because they removed it for the X Collection port on the PS2. Alright, so jump under those spikes. That's a little scary, but it saves time, so we gotta do it. Alright, and in the second half, we've got some Gravity Man style gravity flippers here. Louise is using Soul Body, or Twin Dream, sorry, which is Spike Rosewood's weapon. The main reason for that is because it does copy whatever Zero's doing, so it copies like the pizza cutter slashes and things like that, but it doesn't trigger any of the usual lag. So that's really nice. Right? You can get all of the benefits of those weapons with none of the downsides. Alright, so we're coming up on Dark Necrobat here. This guy's got some decent RNG to him, unfortunately. He's basically Shade Man. And by basically, I mean he's like modeled after Shade Man. So what he decides to do here is going to be either he's going to stay up like this, or he's going to choose to come down like this. And if he comes down, you can SDC him. If he stays up, you kind of just have to air slash him. So obviously you want him to come down, but there's some potential for randomness time loss there. Alright, so on to Shining Firefly next. This stage is kind of neat. There's a somewhat interesting cycle that we want to catch at the start here. As we're going into the Good Doctor's laboratory here, he's got some spike chandeliers that we want to try to catch on a good cycle. Fortunately, we just did pick up Darkhold from Dark Necrobat, which is basically Time Stop from Mega Man 2, except you can pause to cancel it. So we are going to be using that here to freeze these next couple chandeliers in place. Yeah, really nice cycle there. That's exactly what you want to catch. Okay, yeah, not too bad there. Fortunately, getting crushed by stuff doesn't kill you in this game, so no problem. Another use of Darkhold here to freeze all these enemies in place. We've got a bit of an auto-scroller boss here. Pretty much with this one, you just want to break the black one however you can. That's the one that will deal damage whenever you destroy it. Most of this fight comes down to lag reduction. You want to be either using the twin dream slashes or single slashes on the ground to break the boss. And then the only other thing you want to watch out for with this fight is you need to end it in the center, just like your classic Mega Man games. Because Zero will walk to the center before you regain control if you don't. Alright, we've got a really sweet section here. There's some really interesting platforming that happens here with Zero's double jump, especially near the end, because there's going to be a long vertical climb here up to the boss door. And Zero's double jump makes pretty quick work of this if you know where the enemies are. Nice. So Shining Firefly is probably the most random of the 8 Mavericks. He will choose to teleport around, and then after a certain number of teleports, he'll come back on screen and do an attack. And then after that, sometimes he will teleport again, and sometimes he'll stay on screen. So ideally, you want him to stay on screen as long as possible, so you can keep hitting him. Okay. Went pretty well, actually. Yeah, 213, that's really good. Really good. I think my best IL ever here is like a 211, so that's a really solid time. Alright, so one more equip here. We're going to equip both the Energy Saver and the Master Saber, and then we have to fight Dynamo one more time. Unfortunately for him, now that we're like buff, he goes down even faster than last time. I mean, he did get an upgrade technically. Like, he has a new attack. I don't know if we'll see it or not. Yeah, we will. Unfortunately, it makes him even more vulnerable to STC. So, poor guy. Just can't catch a break. All right, so we have one more Maverick here before we go on to the Fortress stages. And I know, I hear you. There's 2 more Mavericks. Well, you'll see. Actually, I forgot. We're going to do a Fortress stage here already. Whoa. Going crazy. All right, so this is Virus 1. If you have played Mega Man before, this stage might look a little bit familiar. We got some nice quick man lasers going on here. We're a little bit more mobile than Mega Man is in Mega Man 2, though, so we're gonna make pretty quick work of these. Don't even need to use Darkhold. Alright, so coming up on the worst thing ever. This boss is so bad. Alright, so the thing with this boss is he's a devil. His eye can spawn in one of like 5 or 6 places, and 2 of them are low enough to SDC, and the others are not. And you can see how long a cycle takes here. Like, you have to wait the full devil pattern out every single time. So if you get a low spawn, that's good, because you can kill him in 2 cycles. Otherwise, it's usually 3, sometimes 3.5, which is probably a solid 30 seconds of waiting. So if you're going for a top time, this boss is an absolute nightmare. Here's your half cycle. Lovely, lovely boss. You do have this nice remix though. Love this song. And if he's under, I think it's half, but it might be 1/3. He can turn into this, which is the Wily machine from Mega Man 6, if you were watching the other night. So yeah, lots of classic Mega Man references in this game. In this stage in particular. But yeah, unfortunately that's about the worst pattern you can get from Shadow Devil. So lots of time lost there, but that's okay. Not much you can do about that. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Volt Kraken, who's our 7th Maverick. The only reason we choose to do Virus 1 before him is just for RNG purposes. Like, you want to get the bad boss out of the way as soon as possible. Okay, so the first half of the stage is a pretty short Ride Chaser section. The Ride Chaser works pretty much the same as it does in X4. You can dash with it. If you jump and dash, it scrolls the screen faster than dashing along the ground. So we want to be dashing in the air wherever possible. We also want to be, you can see these blue orbs around. We want to be avoiding those as much as possible. Luis got one, which is kind of unfortunate. Because if you get them all, you unlock an armor capsule here. But if you get none of them, you get the even better prize of being able to skip this text box and just go. So ideally we want to get none of them. Getting one of them is not the end of the world though. This song is great. Highly recommend this song. Okay, so the rest of the stage, there's this gimmick of, there's these doors that are color-coded. You can see there's a yellow door and a purple door. And we have to push the switch in to open the door. This is where Shining Firefly's Giga Crash style weapon comes in handy, because you can hit both the switches at the same time. Here, though, we're going to be skipping this. Okay, so that's kind of weird. I'll try my best to explain it simply. In this game, whenever you get crushed, you don't die, right? So to sort of mitigate that and prevent you from getting stuck, after you get some weird extra powered invincibility frames, which lets you move through the thing that crushed you to like let you get out. And for whatever reason, if you crush yourself in exactly that way, I guess the game treats the door as part of the thing that crushed you, since they're level with the wall. And if you're fast enough, while you have the invulnerability frames, you can move right through that door. It's a very weird mechanic. But that room's a disaster, so I'm really glad we can skip it. Okay, so here we want to make sure we pick life. That's going to give us access to quick charge, which lets X charge his buster faster. And yeah, we are going to be using X in a little bit, so we want to make sure we have that. Okay, so skipping Spiral Pegasus for now. We're going to go on to do a couple of the virus stages. Virus 2 is next, which is the best stage in the game by a mile. This stage is so good. Now that you have access to Zero's basically full arsenal, like you can just blast through this stage, and it feels so good. We are even going to see Volt Kraken's weapon, which is a Shoryuken. Not for damage, for platforming. Because you can sort of use it there and then jump out of it to skip a little bit of obnoxious platform. Alright, so here's everybody's favorite X1 boss, Rain Bangda. He works very differently than he does in X1. Instead of having 2 eyes that each have their own health bar and they can turn different colors, there are 3 eyes. They each have their own health bar. There's a blue one and a green one and a red one. And then also the nose. They each have their own weaknesses and stuff. It's a pretty complex fight. Oh no! That's unfortunate. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more about this fight while he's refighting it. Again, each boss has its own health bar and its own weakness. The really obnoxious one is the green eye, because it is actually weak to the pizza cutter slash, which means it gets a very extended invulnerability period when you hit it with. And unfortunately, there's really no way to not hit it with it, because it's kind of all you have. Okay, so the boss is under half, which means Luis is going to get spikes on the wall there. Yep. And once the nose is destroyed, the walls will stay closed, just like in X1. So, to finish him off like that. I will maintain that this version is less bad than the X1 version in the speedrun, but I'm in the minority with that. Alright, so now we're back to Pegasus. So the reason we saved this guy for last is because of how his weapon works. Pegasus's weapon is like a dash slash, and the input for it is just to hit the saber button while you're dashing, which, if you're paying attention, you will know that that is the same input as saber dash cancel. And so Pegasus's weapon will kind of override that. So we're going to lose access to Zero as soon as we beat this guy as a DPS tool. The first half of the stage is sick. There's some time bombs that are around that we need to destroy. And you can kind of just, again, like blast through this stage very, very quickly. Unfortunately, the rest of the stage is slow-moving elevators. So, Sage, if you have anything to plug, this is a great time for it.
Sorry about the elevators. No new donations. This is Bring 'em Over 3, a speedrunning marathon to bring Japanese speedrunners Beko and Ohan, and German speedrunner Prissy to GDQ. All 3 of those runners are going to be in the Mega Man 4 through 6 relay, and Beko is also going to be racing Ninja Gaiden 2 with Jimmy. That was previewed already today, and that was, yesterday. And that was quite a run. If you missed that, you should definitely watch the highlights after this marathon is over. If you want to donate, there's links in chat, and there's also buttons below the stream. Any donation is appreciated. If you donate a single donation of $10 or more, or a cheer of 1,000 bits or more, single cheer, you will be entered into a raffle to win a $100 gift card of winner's choice to any of the 3 consoles or to Steam. Looking at incentives, no changes, but the Super Mario Galaxy 2 extra run, that's a little under 6 hours until that run starts. Now, that's probably not due until the end of the run, but we need $40 more to see the perfect run, the extra level. So we need $40 more for that. In 9.5 hours, the bid war for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time will close. To pick which turtle Conster will play as, right now Donatello is winning with $144.99. Raphael is not too far behind at $105 flat. Leonardo and Michelangelo, I'm sorry, any fans, they are at $0. So if you want to see one of those, you better get some traction soon because you're running out of time. Looking forward, we also have a Spyro Year of the Dragon incentive to pick which color Spyro is going to be. Right now, the green option is the only one with a donation at $69.
Nice. All right, awesome. So we're to the boss here. You can see his weakness makes pretty quick work of him. It'll freeze him in place. Oh no. All right, you got him. Close call. Ooh, very scary fight there. All right, so now that Pegasus is down, Zero is basically worthless to us, which is sad. Sad to say, but it's true. So we're gonna be switching off to X now. We're going to equip some parts here. Hyper Dash and then the Quick Charge part for X. And we're going to go into Virus 3. Okay, so this stage is pretty neat, I think. I always have a good time practicing this one. You might have noticed Luis did pick on Armored X. It was really the only thing he had access to. But even if he didn't, you still want to come into this stage as unarmored. Because if you do, and you happen to fall down this hole that's coming up, and you happen to go behind this wall, which is fake, you get an armor capsule here. And this is the secret armor capsule in this game, which is going to grant us access to the ultimate armor, which is obviously very strong. You can guess that by the name. Unfortunately, it doesn't equip automatically. You do have to equip it from the stage select. So we won't have access to it for the boss. So hopefully the boss isn't too hard. So the boss is Zero. So this is the second time we'll be fighting Zero in the series. And he's about as easy as he is in X2. You can kind of just pretty much do the same thing that you do in X2, where you can AI lock him. Just by walking close to him to force him to do the Giga attack, and then step back to avoid it, and then repeat. All right, so one stage to go. All right, so we'll be equipping Ultimate Armor here. Ultimate Armor is really good. It has very high defensive capabilities, so you don't take too much damage while using it. And it also gives you the Nova Strike as sort of just an unlimited tool that you can use. So if you watched Ultra's run, you saw the Nova Strike. It just is really strong. Deals like 8 damage, I think, on hit. And we can use it as much as we want with the Ultimate Armor, so that's good. You will also be seeing a couple charged weapons here. You saw charged C-Shot there, and then my favorite weapon here, the charged F-Laser. You just get a big old laser to use, which is great. Love it. But the rest of these bosses are going to be Nova Strike City. Unfortunately, the devs were kind enough to buff the bosses up to their maximum level in the refight, so these bosses have 128 HP, which is great. I'm sorry, 127, I think it actually is. Yeah, that was really good RNG from Firefly, actually. He can be a nightmare, like, with all his teleports and stuff. But yeah, that was great. That's about as good as it gets. Yeah, so the thing I do want to mention with this boss rush is a lot of people will tend to poo-poo this as like, oh, you just spam R2 forever, and that's like 90% true, but there is some like actual optimization that you want to do in these refights. In particular, the Nova Strike animation is pretty long, but you can cancel it by running X into a wall, so like Nova striking closer to the wall as opposed to further away. And since the boss iframe period is so short, you can sort of get quicker hits in if you're canceling the Nova by running into a wall. So like here, this fight's a really good example of where you want to do that. All right, so most of these bosses are pretty straightforward for the most part. There are two that are dangerous on the right-hand side of the room. Whenever we do the refights for Tidal Whale and Spiral Pegasus, we do have to be a little bit careful with those. Because even though you take like no contact damage, those rooms have spikes and pits respectively, so you can die in those if you're not careful. So grab some health here. And we're on to Whale. You can see those spikes right there, right? Nova Strike's not going to protect you from those. Which means you basically just have to be careful in where you're starting your Nova Strike. Because if you start it too far to the right, then you're just going to dash into the spikes and look like a dummy. I think most of us choose to do Novas from the right, like Louise is doing here, and aim left. Makes it a little bit safer. Yeah, really good fight there. Okay, cool. So we got 2 more to go. We'll have Rose Red and then Pegasus coming up here. Then we'll be on to the final boss. That attack from Rose Red is actually a little bit scary when he does the Vine Whip attack. Because if he grabs you, like if you're not in iframes and you get hit by it, it sort of locks you in place for a little, which wastes time. So you want to make sure you're not getting hit by that. Okay, and then here's Pegasus. You can see on the very bottom right there, there's that little pit there, right? So most of the time you're probably not going to Nova Strike into a pit, but if you get touched by Pegasus, his contact damage comes with a really, really big knockback. Like that. Dang. Commentator's curse. Sorry, Louise. So yeah, that's another deadly fight. There's really only 2 of these fights that are dangerous. The Pegasus one and the Whale one. And then he does a Storm Eagle impression here. Alright, so there's the refights. Now we're on to the final boss. And so we got a little platforming section here before the final boss. And what's kind of neat about this one is that we're going to be using the Nova Strike 2 platform, which is an interesting use of it. Because what you can do is you can jump and then hit R2 to Nova Strike, and you get a little bit of an extra jump. So that's kind of neat. And we also have one final classic Mega Man reference here with the Yoku blocks before we're on to Sigma. Those Yokus work like the Mega Man 2 ones do, where when they spawn, like the timer starts counting down when you scroll them on screen, like in Heat. And then here's Sigma, looking pretty awesome in his purple cape. He's fortunately not level 96, at least not in this form, so... All right, and then here's the final form. So time's coming up. It's going to be whenever Sigma's health hits 0. I'm not sure if this guy is officially called Gamma Sigma or not, but he's pretty clearly inspired by Gamma from Mega Man 3. The only thing that you want to be careful of in this fight is you want to destroy the fists at the start. Because while his fists are out, he will go invulnerable, like back and forth into wireframe mode, and you can't hit him while he's doing that. So by breaking the fist, you sort of push him into a different attack pattern. Otherwise, it's just a matter of taking him out here. Sub-tank for safety. Good. Don't get crushed by the fists. And time. Awesome run. Really enjoyed that. Man, I can't believe Zero's dead.